Hey, what's up, gang? It's Tuesday. I'm Dominic D'Angelo of Studio1Sports.com,
Dom,
and I'm
dude, I'm begging. It's Monday.
it's Monday. It's
It's
Monday.
Monday. I haven't seen you in a week. It's been
Yes,
great.
it is Monday. Wow,
I've
it's
been just
Monday.
sitting here every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern, waiting to do a show, talking blankly into the void. But Dom is a big shot now, guys. He was covering the NFL draft in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Put your stupid hat away. So
Selective.
we were unable to do our show because apparently I, despite being a co-host of this show, do not have login capabilities.
That's right. He does it. We got to get that changed.
So I'm just sitting there, ready to talk wrestling, yelling into the void. No one there to hear it, but we're back today. A lot of stuff to talk about here. We're going to start with E, who says, "What's up? Nice to see them finally show up for work." We did. Cammy Star says, "After morning, you finally decided to love us again. That is not fair. We never loved you." Wanna Breeze says, "Long time no see, R and I." Willie Thornbrew says, "So glad to have R and I back." Devin Dowling throwing us an Ayo. Willie Thornbrew says, "Who would you feed to Oba?" Probably everyone the Dolphins drafted, because Miami's got the Dolphins, the worst drafted football team. It's a rough go. Wrestling Old Head
I
says, "Good afternoon." Oh, no, we're not talking the NFL. I won't. I can't. We've got too much wrestling. Wrestling Old Head says, "Good after morning, all." The season premiere episode of R&I, and there's a lot of good luck in your future endeavors to give out. Yeah, we may as well start there. Marty's thrilled. I do want to give a shout out to Hey Yo Commando. Says, "Listening in while traveling from state park to state park for work,"
oh,
which either means he's a park ranger or a murderer.
either one is fine. Thank you for tuning in.
This is what happens. I read too many of these damn books, and all of a sudden it's just like guys wandering around state parks here. Legs Louie, by the way, giving a nice plug for our great interview with Natty that finally got to see the light of day.
Embargoed.
A lot of great nuggets in there. Heyo clarifies that he is a park ranger, so if you're looking for your picnic basket, check out Heyo Commando. I'm sure I'm the first person ever to bring a Yogi Bear reference to that guy. Devin Dowling wrote, "Dom, I watched an episode of Jake Asman. You were screaming at a bar behind him."
That's
Who?
correct. Jake Asman. That's who I worked with this week for the draft. Because I covered all the New York Jets.
Clearly
stuff.
following along.
Yes.
Die hard. I do like the one dude who called you out in your insane wearing of
a Bruno shirt.
No, not the Bruno shirt. It was, why are you wearing the Pittsburgh thing and the Jets hat?
Oh yeah, Ty Simpson.
Yeah, love that.
Get clarity.
Good stuff. Anyway,
let's get rolling.
There's a lot of stuff to talk about here. I think first and foremost, most likely would be the roster cuts.
Yes, let's dive into that. Over 20 roster cuts went down at WWE, including the Wyatt Six. We had Aleister Black, Selena Vega, Kerry Zane, Joe Gacy, part of Wyatt Six, Dexter Loomis, part of Wyatt Six.
Yeah. So
Motor City Machine Guns. Do you want to break them down?
This is generally the way that I look at roster cuts and this is coming from a creative standpoint. Is you always look at those cuts and go, was there something that could have been done with these people differently that would have changed the trajectory of what happened, or was some of this addition by subtraction? Unlike our friends over at All Elite Wrestling, whom we love and have nothing but admiration and respect for all the time, WWE doesn't warehouse talent. Warehousing essentially is you have them under contract, even if you're barely ever or just not using them, and they're just getting paid to essentially sit at home and kind of languish and do nothing.
Correct. AEW is notorious for that.
AEW is notorious for that. They have sort of a different philosophy. They have different ethoses that they need to answer to. WWE, it's kind of like, are we going to utilize this person going forward? How can we utilize them? If not, then we're going to release them. And there is enough of an ecosystem out there that being future endeavored by the WWE is not necessarily the kiss of death. I think there's a number of talents you can think of who land on their feet in AEW, who in TNA, JCW, GCW. They go abroad to Japan. They build themselves into a Cardona-like indie god. And then you look at a guy like Drew McIntyre or Cody Rhodes, who leave the WWE, become even bigger names, and when they come back, they're undeniably bigger stars. The head scratchingest cut, and this is it's a sensitive matter to talk about because obviously it's someone's livelihood. This isn't sort of just a fun novelty conversation. This is a man or woman who got a call saying you're no longer employed. You now need to figure out your employment status almost immediately.
By your dream job, nonetheless, too.
A lot of these people, yes, fired from your dream job. Thank you for making this sound even meaner and worse. The Aleister Black Zelina Vega cut so quickly after the report had come out that Aleister Black was originally in the role that Pat McAfee fell into as the guy pulling the strings and manipulating Randy Orton. And that was Aleister's character since his return a year ago in WWE, that he was kind of behind the curtain, behind the scenes, whispering in people's ears, trying to bring about change with them. And even in the McAfee Randy Orton pre-tapes, Aleister Black and Zelina Vega were lurking in the background in a lot of those. So it felt like there was a possible pivot. There was a possible way to make that story continue. Pat McAfee has apparently stated that he no longer wants to pursue his current WWE storyline, that him leaving at WrestleMania was like, that's it forever for now, because no one ever really leaves wrestling. And the idea that it was going to be Randy Orton and Pat McAfee versus Cody and Jelly Roll is gone. Aleister Black is the kind of talent that could have thrived in this April, May, June corridor. This is a window of time where there isn't an immediate next challenger for Cody Rhodes. And you need a guy who's just sort of in the periphery that you can build up, put out there. I don't know why my background is especially blurry. I'm just noticing this.
You'd probably change your settings on there.
Dude, I don't work here. Blur intensity.
There you go.
There we go. Now I'm less like
Tone it
traveling
down.
through time and space. I didn't know I had blur intensity turned on at all. Aleister Black is the kind of talent that you could heat up short term to be a challenger for Cody for the next month or two, get some great matches, get a good win for Rhodes, similar to what they did with him and AJ Styles a year ago. Instead, him and Zelina Vega getting cut. It is surprising. I'm curious, and this is tinfoil hat. I know nothing from nothing. I don't know if it's possible that the report of Aleister Black and Zelina Vega's potential involvement and that getting out there left some folks in WWE and TKO with egg on their face, and they just thought it was better to cut bait rather than continue with Zelina Vega and Aleister Black. I don't know, but it's unfortunate. I feel like there was a lot of usefulness for them. The next piece.
Can I say this though, real quick?
Oh no, by all means, yeah.
I think I think that's a surprising one for sure. To all that being said, they haven't utilized Aleister Black as much as they should. They didn't maximize him and Zelina Vega in that act as much as they should have. If throughout this course of this whole year, I would say. And I think that was disappointing. I think a lot of the way that Aleister Black was originally promoted in WWE was great. Like he almost had this supernatural feel to him. There's this air of mystery to him. After Vince took over and meddled in all that business too, that humanized Aleister Black a little bit more, which I didn't think helped him. And then I think the same kind of happened along this time. So I do think a lot of that kind of came into play with how his act should have been bigger and wasn't. So I think that was very disappointing in regards to how they built him up over the course of this time. And I think it sucks. I think it's a missed opportunity again for Aleister Black.
It feels like they just didn't give them the opportunity to grow in the way that they should have. And it does feel a little bit like a missed opportunity. I think for the Wyatt Six, this is one of those addition by subtraction, and it's really unfortunate. They're good. The folks that I have interacted with in the Wyatt Six always been really great people. Part of the challenge when you have a supernatural gimmick, unlike the Aleister Black gimmick, which was less supernatural and more, I'm persuading you to the dark side. The Wyatt Six was overtly supernatural, and I said, even when they started down the path of this gimmick, it had a limited shelf life simply because when you interact with them, you can't have that kind of straightforward presentation that is important to the WWE right now. You can't put the Wyatt Six on ESPN, on free TV, and risk that not coming across as embarrassing when they're trying to present a more straightforward wrestling presentation. It's already a struggle where it's like we're trying with the legitimacy of an Obafemi or a Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre street fight or something like that. When the Wyatts have had their storylines, when it was all the tag teams coming after them, it turned into a little bit of Scooby Doo. It was all the other tag teams are like, zoinks, we got to get rid of them ghosts. It doesn't work in the 2026 presentation of WWE. The storyline with them and the MFTs, you if you look at it honestly, it didn't elevate Solo. It didn't elevate anybody in the MFTs. The matches were passable. I think Joe Gacy is probably the most talented in-ring performer of the men. But once you finish that MFT storyline, you get rid of the goofiness of the magical lantern. It's where are you going to go with them from there? And given that SmackDown may be going from 3 hours to 2 hours again, it's the rumor and innuendo, they probably looked at it and said, you know what, we probably don't have a spot right now for these guys, and they can probably find an opportunity to grow and expand someplace else. Losing Nikki Cross to me is the biggest loss of the Wyatt Six, just because she has the most versatility and she's really good in ring.
I think with the Wyatt Six, the main crux of the whole issue of that, their debut was amazing. What they did, like Chad Gable backstage and taking people out, was very, very amazing and like felt pretty significant, obviously. But then they didn't commit. They didn't commit to putting all their chips into it and like just having them run roughshod. And I know that becomes a conflict issue with how you're going to do storylines, all that stuff. But if you're going to do something like that, you have to really, really commit to it. And I don't think WWE did that. And then so it felt like really weak and very half-hearted and half-attempted effort with it all. So with the supernatural thing, I'm not as adverse to that because, you know, ESP understands the game of pro wrestling. I mean, like, you think about the Undertaker, and obviously they're not the Undertaker, but
All right,
that's
here's
another
the thing
thing.
about here's the thing about Taker. Anytime someone brings up Taker, go back and watch the majority of the Undertaker stuff. It is embarrassing to bad for the majority of the Undertaker's career. The in-ring matches were not great. The storylines were goofy and embarrassing. Oh, I mean, decades of wrestle crap with the Undertaker. You remember the needle drops. You remember the cool moments. Go back and watch a lot of those storylines. Go back and watch a lot of those matches. They're bad. And he was the best at it. And when the best at Supernatural is not great, you don't have a lot of wiggle room.
I think that's a fair argument for sure. I do. I think people do have an affection for some of that stuff, though. So I think if they were gonna commit to the Wyatt Six, and they played into it, leaned into it, I don't think that would have been a huge issue of a conflict with ESPN and all that stuff if they committed it and made it good. But to your point, yeah, Undertaker's the best at it, and some of that stuff was pretty.
Dom, I need 30 seconds. Go ahead and do
Go
an
for
ad
it, for
read while
sure.
I step away.
Absolutely. So, yeah, this week, guys, I want to promote Mudwater. Big fan of Mudwater, actually. If you need a coffee alternative that is healthy for you and still gives you energy, and but it's all mushroom based, I recommend Mudwater. The great thing about it is you get a free frother with it all, and you get the basics. All you do, take a scoop of it, throw it in to a cup of hot water or milk if you want, and then get it halfway up. Use that frother, and you got a good cup of joe to your own thing. So I highly recommend trying out Mudwater, and we got a special deal for our listeners. Ready to make the switch to cleaner energy? Head to Mudwater, that's MUDWTR.com, and grab your starter kit today. Right now, our listeners get an exclusive deal, up to 43% off your entire order, plus free shipping and a free rechargeable frother when you use code RUMOR. That's right, up to 43% off with code RUMOR at MUDWTR.com. After you purchase, they'll ask you how you found them. Please support our show and tell them that we sent you. Yes, so Mudwater is good stuff, so be sure to check that out.
Tremendous reading comprehension there from Dom. Further on down the list, Motor City Machine Guns getting cut. Yes, it's unfortunate. They're obviously talented. They're good guys. If we're being kind of just honest at this point, that 3 hour to 2 hour shift of SmackDown is probably making them take a harder look at who they need to keep around and who they don't. The Guns, while very talented, have age working against them. They have height working against them. And I think if I'm Paul Levesque looking at the roster going, well, I have Fraxium occupying the same spot as the Motor City Machine Guns. And if I need to cut one and keep one, I'm probably going to keep Fraxium and I'm probably going to cut the Machine Guns, whose 90-day non-compete happens to end the day Dynamite is in Detroit.
Wow, how about that? Well, I mean, with Motor City Machine Guns, I mean, Alex Shelley's my favorite all-time TNA wrestler. So I have like a little bias towards it, but I do think in the same way, like WWE again, I think this speaks to their tag division and what they don't do with it and how they're not committed to it. So I think in that way, it's really telling as well too, Robert.
They've always been a little bit wishy-washy with their tag division, and given that the tag champs are a thrown together team in R-Truth and Damian Priest, who did a decent job on SmackDown, but they don't really have much interest right now in it. In fact, the hottest team that they could have brought back on SmackDown would have been the Street Profits, and they moved them to Raw.
Yeah.
So you've got Fraxium. They kept Los Garzas are still there. You've got the MFTs. I guess we'll see where that shakes out. On the Raw side, Kairi Sane being cut in the middle of a storyline that felt like it had a pretty strong ultimate payoff is definitely surprising. They've invested a lot of time on TV to this Asuka, Kairi, Io storyline, and the fact that Rhea Ripley is now on SmackDown and Kairi is alone on Raw, it felt like the inevitability of Kairi breaking away from Asuka, joining up with Io. Now you've got a new potential tag team, so Io doesn't get lost in the shuffle. You've got Asuka versus Kairi, which could be a fresh matchup. Asuka and Io. It was a surprising decision. Don't quite know what ultimately led to that. Kairi Sane's absolutely going to find a home right away.
For sure.
A couple of others, Santos Escobar, I thought had a tremendous upside. I thought the rebranding of him as a masked luchador and turning him into what they did as sort of this impresario character. I loved the presentation. I thought he did great with it. I thought he was good in the ring. I thought he was good on promos. I thought he had a unique look, possibly just injury bug.
Could be it. I love Santos too. I think there's a lot of upside to him still. So hopefully a company picks him up.
And Apollo Crews is just a hell of a performer.
Dude, this is like a good resurgence for him. I think this is the best move for him. We haven't seen him on television in forever. Why not? Just give him a fresh start. He can go make his own hay, and I think he even made mention of that on social media too. So I think it's a good move on that. For him at least,
Look, I think a lot of these guys are going to find homes. They're going to find homes pretty quickly. There is a wonderfully robust independent scene. Like, I can't help but be selfish with BRCW and look and say, man, who are these folks can I bring in that are going to enhance our one-off shows and take a spot away from Marcus D'Angelo?
With a new logo, nonetheless. BRCW has
with a new BRC. Well, we had to get rid of the old logo once we got associated with Marcus.
Oh, well,
even an ancillary connection there.
You mean Florida Marcus.
Well, we have Raw tonight.
Yes, we do.
Beautiful Laredo, Texas.
Giddy up.
I think they are in Laredo. Man,
I don't know.
I have been to beautiful Laredo, Texas before, and I can definitely say the town is very excited to go to a Whataburger.
Ooh, I didn't have any burgers when I was in Vegas, unfortunately.
You didn't go to the In-N-Out?
Nope, no In-N-Out.
Dude, why even go to Vegas?
I only gambled like $35. That's it. Lost it all.
That's fine. Gambling is like you're either going all in with the, no pun intended, with gambling, or you're not. To go spend $35 on it, it's kind of like that's like 1.5 hands.
Yeah,
if that. The $20 minimums at these tables are $50 minimums at some of these tables. You got to be prepared to lose a lot quickly.
Absolutely.
But the In-N-Out burger, never a gamble. What's also not a gamble is Raw tonight, where we've got a stacked show. Maybe. I don't know. What do we got?
I don't know, Robert. I don't have the rundown in front of me. I was just previewing all the other stuff. I was going to talk about SmackDown, and I was going to talk about Dynamite that I missed.
Well, SmackDown, nothing happened.
Okay.
No, SmackDown was like a precursor to Raw. It was Jacob Fatu being like, well, I'm going to go to Raw on Monday, and I'm going to confront Roman still and give him my answer about my previous answer about wanting to challenge him. Cody cut a promo without revealing any kind of challenger. So we still
Nope.
don't know if we're getting Cody and Punk or Cody and someone else. Instead, it was him again talking about outside forces coming after him. What?
Confusing.
Tiffany Stratton won a title. She won the U.S. Women's title, and Fatal Influence are there. And to use the word of wrestling old head, JC Jane got nuclear heat.
Ooh.
The folks there did not like JC Jane in the best kind of way. Like Dom Mysterio booed out of the building. Super fun debut for her. Sami Zayn dressed as a gingerbread man attacked Trick Williams and Lil Yachty.
Sounds
That was
about right.
SmackDown.
What'd you think of Ethan Page's debut on Raw?
The gingerbread man attacked Trick Williams.
Okay.
What a moment. I would not have called up Ethan Page right now.
Really?
Ethan for a Raw after Mania call up, that's a pretty pristine spot. And
Cool.
Ethan Page is not exactly he's a talented guy, not a set the world on fire kind of performer. And on a week when you have a lot of releases, it's not the best time to be calling up a lot of guys, because then you're gonna, unfairly say, well, why would you bring up Sol Ruka if you could have had Kairi Sane? Why would you bring up Ethan Page when you could have used Apollo Crews? Like it winds up creating these unfair comparisons and sets him up for a little bit of failure. I also don't know who the hell's left on NXT, because tonight you got Joe Hendry showing up on Raw doing a concert. They said on SmackDown that they're bringing Ricky Saints next week, which is now this week.
Yes.
So who the hell's on the NXT roster? It's your cousin Tony.
Cousin
and
Tony.
That's it.
Mm-hmm. That's all you need. Maybe Marcus will be at NXT.
Nah, Marcus has already been on Raw and SmackDown. He ain't doing the backslide down there.
He's main roster. He's main roster.
We got Backlash Tampa coming up next weekend, next Sunday, I believe. Next Saturday, because I was almost going to go, and then I was like, that's Mother's Day weekend. That is a
Take
trap.
your mom. Take Mama Karpolis.
No, my mom has never been to a wrestling show.
Really?
I don't think she's ever watched a wrestling show.
Really?
She may have seen like a 30-second clip here or there. No, she does not. That is not their that is not their wheelhouse.
Was your dad a fan at all?
No, never. Not once. He did he's a legit sports fan, and as a Jets fan himself, he understands misery and it's one of the secret shames of my life. He is a Jets and Mets fan.
Robert, come on over.
No, but he did the thing of like, oh well, I watched roller derbies like once or twice as a kid, and I'm like, okay, I get it. I understand. And if you're not in it and like love it, like I can understand where it's not someone's thing to try to make that direct equivalency. And that's why something like the Wyatt Six wouldn't work on ESPN, because you are trying to get people to tune in that don't watch it, and they think, oh, it's that hokey kid stuff. When you see, spooky masked people taking advice from a lantern, it's very tough to get that real sports audience.
I think what they need is Papa Shango back. And there, you got it.
What about Papa Shango instead of Shango?
Oh, Shango.
Thanks, Excalibur. Backlash Tampa, my point is coming up, and we have no real matches set for it. There is a world where they could get to Jacob Fatu and Roman Reigns and do Cody versus CM Punk, which feel like big matches. A Stephanie Vaquer Liv Morgan rematch feels like that's possibly on the docket. JC Jane and Fatal Influence versus Rhea, Alexa, and Charlotte in a 6-woman match. Those feel like the directions we're going to, but we're almost in like Tony Khan territory. Like, give me a match, book something. Don't just we're having a show. Use your Saturday night before Mother's Day and watch.
Speaking of, Robert, I have zero clue of what happened on Dynamite. You want to fill me in?
Oh, God. Dynamite was like a month ago. Hold on. Let me go back to the notes. See, I covered it with Scott Chaplin on Working Stiff, which is amazing because you're our producer.
I produced it. It's good to go. I just didn't listen to it.
Darby Allin, Tommaso Ciampa was the main event, strong main event. But they're doing this thing now where it's like post hoc ergo proctor hoc, afterwards therefore because. You got folks that are talking about results as if they're foregone conclusions before they happen. So you got like Brody King calling out Darby before Darby's even beaten Ciampa. Don't love that.
Yeah.
They made a decision to have Will Ospreay get taken out again by injury, which is playing with fire when you have that problem for real with Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
If Ospreay is back and healthy, let him be back and healthy. We don't need to sit and worry about it. And then from a production snafu, you had him carried out by the Death Riders. Well, everybody's like, we hope Will Ospreay is okay, and they immediately cut to a pre-tape of Alex Windsor, who they've established on camera as his partner, and her not mentioning it, showing any concern, any of that. Super bizarre. Also, Chris Jericho got Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin back with him.
Okay. They're a team?
They're going to team up in a 6-man. Or they may have already teamed up on Collision. I don't know. But they announced them all together on Dynamite.
I'm all right with that.
Is what it is. But you know what is what it is? The fact that we are going to be here every Monday through Friday at noon Eastern on a plethora of platforms, including WWE Creative _ISH X account, the @Dominic D'Angelo X account, the @SE Scoops X account, as Marty wants to come up, on YouTube, on Podcast Heat and Studio One Sports on the YouTube. Whew, it's good to be back. If you missed our chat with Natty Neidhart, go check it out. If you missed everything from last week of wrestling, go check out my conversation with Scott Chaplin over on Working Stiff, where we covered Raw and Dynamite and all the other happenings. So on behalf of the only man brave enough to wear a Jets hat, even after that draft, Dominic D'Angelo, I'm Robert Karpolis. Best of luck in your future endeavor.
I'm the new future water boy of the New York Jets.